Chandee.
Yes.
If
you say my name wrong, it doesn't matter. Like, there's so many different ways of saying it, so it's not the end of the world.
You won't be able to say my last name.
Spirides?
Damn.
No, because I've heard you say it before. That's why I knew, because I heard you say it and I was like, okay, that's how you say it. But that's not how I thought it was.
Yeah. How did you think it was?
I thought it was like spy rides, which is probably what everyone...
Yes, everyone says. Yeah. Hey Decide Destiny crew, thanks for joining me for another Decide Destiny conversation. Today we've got Chandee sitting in the hot seat on the hot mic. How are you going?
I'm amazing, thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. And so Chandee has been running the East Perth network, and that's how we met, and we've been kind of intercepting each other, doing different sort of podcasts.
Yeah.
Obviously both young people getting out there in the world and sharing what we do.
Yep.
So, yeah. So Chandee is a sports nutritionist and personal trainer, and she also runs the East Perth Network Group, which is just an awesome group of people that get together in the room and just try and help each other out. You know, you've got people that work with Joe Dispenza, you've got Feng Shui, you've got business coaches. I mean, I'm sure you can tell me more. Do you want to, maybe you can start and tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, I've got all sorts of people, and it's good to have people in your circle of influence that inspire you and challenge you. And the kinds of people that I've got in there's all sorts. I've got a chiropractor, dentist, artist, personal stylist, health coach, mindset coach, chiro, printing, property developer, so many. I could go on for ages.
And they're all awesome people, and
they are,
very vibrant room, which is nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can go to network groups and network events and it can be really sticky and stagnant, and you kind of leave and you go, why did we do that? You know, what was the point of that? And
especially when you're young as well, people tend to look down on you sometimes because they think you're young, you don't know what you're doing,
the nose, the kind of I knows what you mean. I know.
You did not go there.
That's going to be, that'll be the one and only daddish, I guess, joke for today. But thank you so much for being on the podcast. The podcast, what we do is we go through 7 key sections that I wrote about in the Decide Your Destiny book. And those sections are youth. So what have you extracted from your youth? Then we go to your heroes and your mentors, fictional and real life. We go to your family and relationships. What does that mean to you? Then we cut across to purpose. You know, what is your purpose? What do you believe your purpose is? Then we dig deep into heart and soul. Yeah. What those words mean to you, what heart and soul means to you in life. We cut across to mindset, and then we finish off at God and wisdom. So we had a little bit of a chat before the show, and I found that mindset was a big kind of focus for you in your life in the last few years.
I think that everything starts with your mindset. So for example, if someone's coming to see me for personal training and they want to get healthy, fit and strong, if their mindset isn't in the right place, then nothing's going to happen. So, you know, you could have the best coach, you could have the best resources around you, but if everything isn't good up here, then it's going to be really hard. So the reason why I worked on my mindset a lot in the last 2 years is because I recently left my old career where I was working for a big company. And then I decided to start up my own business, which took a lot of
huge shift.
A lot of mindset work because, you know, you have all your limiting beliefs. You have people telling you that you can't do it, or they'll say negative things. So I knew that I really had to work on my mindset because that's the number one thing. And once someone said to me the only difference between you and a millionaire is the mindset. And I didn't get that at first. And that just shows how limited my mindset was back then. But now I totally know what that means.
No, I feel you. I had a gentleman this morning, and we were doing some daily dose, or recordings, and we were talking about going forth and, you know, getting through your, I guess, restricted potential. And I think a lot of your restricted potential, because once you get rid of that restriction or that confinement, a lot of it is limitations that
Yeah.
you put on, and they could be mental limitations. They could be things that your parents said. They could
Yeah.
be things that you thought society said,
Yeah.
or you heard society say it in this tone of voice. You know, they can come from and they can come from our self-talk as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been focusing on a lot lately, is those limitations, just watching. Because, you know, in 2021 I did a daily dose for every single day, and there's a lot of, I guess, that sort of outward media that I've been putting out into the world, and a lot of positive growth and that sort of stuff. And so people will sometimes come up to me and say, oh, you're doing so great, or you're so positive, you're so this and that. And that was a great lesson for me, because I had to reflect and look at moments when I wake up in the morning and maybe I'd miss my alarm by half an hour, or maybe I didn't go for a jog that morning, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I'd kind of hammer into myself, or I kind of go, oh, you know, like you don't have enough time for that, or you don't, all those little things that you say. And I went, oh my gosh, I've like this human body, this experience, this mind, this heart, soul is a continual process of learning, unlearning, growth, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
You know, because to me, life isn't mundane like anymore, and that sort of realization, it might sound unusual, but I've felt more recently like day to day, there's so much difference for me. And what I put it to, and I don't know if you can relate to this, or if this is what it is, but what I put it to was that every single morning, every single day, I'm doing so much learning from coaches, from doing so much training, doing so much like self-help, self-growth stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why, like, from day to day, it doesn't seem the same. You know, like other people ask, they're like, yeah, no, yesterday was pretty similar today, but, you know, and tomorrow's going to be pretty, like, but to me it's like, no, they're like you know, football feels between them to me. I don't know, the feeling of them, or the kind of the attitude I get from each day is just totally different. So I don't know, that's, you know, like, I'm sure you had like a real awesome period where you were just like, your mindset was just growing and growing, and that kind of curiosity, that excitement.
Oh, it still is, and I feel like when you get to that point where you're like, I'm done, then you're not done. You're never done.
No, you either go forward or backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're just saying that for some people every day is kind of the same, and it is interesting when you meet people and you'll just be like, hey, how are you going? How's life? And they're like, oh, you know, same old, or you know, they'll say things that are just so, I don't want to say basic, but I just think, oh gosh,
kind of average, or like monotonous, or like kind of
I don't really know how to,
uninspiring maybe. Yeah.
So I just don't want to be like that.
No.
Yeah, I just don't want to have to give a response like that, because there's just no growth and no learning, and
no evolution. And I mean, that's like, if you look at something, take away all the Greek philosophers, take away all the, you know, all the amazing intellectual people on the planet for centuries and years, and, you know, and in today, you know, what is one of the most basic natural laws of our existence is evolution. You know, is how we're evolving. And it's not just physically, it's not just that nowadays people, I mean, my chiro was telling me that people have developed muscles in their neck because of staring down at the phone so much. So that's like a new physiological change. There's so many different changes that are happening, but our mindset, how are we coping with the environment? I can't remember the exact word. I think it's called Heraclitus. And it's the philosophy of decision making, and what causes our decision making.
I haven't even heard of that word before. See, new word.
Yep. There we go. Hey, learning. I hope everyone's learning. You know. But I mean, I only heard it recently. So through this personal growth and all this sort of stuff, someone mentioned about Heraclitus, and I think that's it. And it's like your decision making, how you come to decisions and how you make decisions. And because there's so many decisions we have to make in our life, you know, so something like lunch, we'll go back into our memory and kind of go, oh, I really did like the last chicken burger I had. I'll get another one. You know, so there's reasons we make quick impulse decisions, reasons we take longer to think about decisions, but there's so much information in us. And one of the points I was talking about was, do you think there's more violence today than there was in the past?
Right.
And I think there was a survey done on something, and it was talking about how most people did think there was. And I can't remember, it's some sort of cognitive bias, but there's some sort of thing where I think it's because of the information. So there's so much information of the violence. There's so much of us hitting our day where we see it all the time. But actually, if you go back in history, per capita, there was way more violence than today.
I didn't hear about it.
Yeah. And you know, you go back centuries. Exactly. So it's amazing that our decisions and our judgments and our opinions, there's so many intricate details included in them, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's where information is important, you know. What's some of the, I guess, information that you really gravitated to? Was there like a mentor, a hero, a coach that you kind of really went, wow, I got to just learn from you? Yeah.
So I've got awesome mentors, and
Yep.
my mentors really helped me with my mindset. And I've got really good friends as well. I've got a supportive partner, so I try to surround myself with people who have a good mindset and people that inspire me or challenge me to shift mine and think differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also had people that would say negative things as well. So you know how you were just talking about how people make an assumption about something, but without getting the whole truth about it or all the evidence. I've had people say to me things like, you know, personal training isn't a sustainable career, or personal training's not what it's made out to be. Okay, what is it made out to be?
Yeah,
like,
in your mind, what is it? Yeah, what is it? Yeah.
Or it's not sustainable. Well, my last career, I thought that was sustainable, but then I lost that because of COVID.
Yeah.
So, you know, technically no career is sustainaable, is it?
Like, and what's essential, you know, like all those things. It's like all these terms that are just kind of created. I think you got me on. You've just hit a chord inside me, because it's something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
People killing other people's dreams or trying to limit other people's dreams.
Gosh, I know.
Because they're not willing to, or they haven't faced the facts of that they could actually go and do. And if they put in the hours and the work and the effort, and I think it's even something where you're kind of mirroring to them, hey, look, here's your potential. Here's where you are.
Yeah.
Like, and when you're going and achieving that, you're putting a mirror in their face.
Yeah.
They're going, like, I think probably down somewhere deep in the subconscious, like, my God, I probably could get up at 5. Like, imagine if I did that. How much more would I get done? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, what if I was really fit? Oh my, you know, like all these different sort of things. And their dreams or their passions that they've neglected, and they kind of cast that on you. And it was interesting. I had, I've had this work experience student learning photography and videography from me. And I've, like, you know, through his circle of friends and different sort of people and different people I've mentored in the past, heard this common mention of like, photography and videography, how can you make money from it? You know, like, so parents and like, you know, different sort of people, like, so their belief systems kind of seeped into the child or to the friends or whatever it is. And, you know, how can you make money? And the greatest thing I did recently was I just mentioned to one of the people, go and search this name. And it was the name of my uncle in Sydney. Yeah. And he's a professional commercial photographer, like one of Australia's top photographers. Take photos of Christopher Walken, of all these sorts of different shoots. And I learned from him, you know, working on sets of NRMA, Commonwealth Bank, all this sort of stuff. So really well to do. He's been able to build his house, been able to create, you know, all the dreams from that, how he used that tool in his hand, that camera.
Just photography, photography. That's amazing.
And it's like to show, and I just wanted, you know, him to show the parents, so the parents could kind of see that that's another reality, that's another opportunity, that's another thing, and it's all, you know, there's so many. I mean, my own family were telling me, "Are you sure you should get into photography? Are you sure you want to study, do a diploma in photography? You know, are you sure there's going to be enough money?" And it was like, we've got an uncle, my uncle, we've got a family member who's successful in that industry.
Got living proof.
But even with that, there was the limiting beliefs. Wow. So that's how serious I think the indoctrination, or how intense and it's kind of that, you know, there's haters and there's naysayers. I've heard this in a book, and it's like naysayers, they're even more dangerous than haters. Yeah. Because a hater will call you out. He'll actually create some marketing for you. He'll create some interest, some eyeballs, you know, all that sort of stuff. A naysayer will quietly just be in your ear, just chirping you down, cutting you down. And
it's more toxic, isn't it?
Yeah. And the naysayers are mothers, fathers, brothers,
it could be anyone. It could be your partner. It could be your best friend. Anyone,
Yeah. How important has it been for you to get on the same page as your partner, and your partner again? Like, how important has it been for you guys to kind of share your dreams? You know, how have you gone by that?
Yeah, it's very important. So when basically, long story short, I'm not from Perth, I'm from New Zealand.
Yeah, yes.
And I lived in Dubai for 8 years.
Yep.
So when I moved to Perth, I actually hadn't seen my partner for 9 months.
Wow. Yeah.
So I moved here and I was like, okay, I've just left my job and I'm going to start a business now. And we hadn't seen each other in 9 months.
Wow.
And yeah, of course he supported me and just let me do my own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, from day one, it was never really an issue. But yeah, it's definitely important to me. Like I come across other business owners and their partners will, you know, not be happy about it, or they want them to take the safe option or be secure or
what's safe,
you know,
post 2020.
yeah, what's exactly. And that doesn't make them a bad person. It just their mindset just isn't in the same place, and that could be a result of their life experiences or their circle of influence or their upbringing.
Yes.
And yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, I've had people say things to me as well, and you know, you just have to learn to filter it out and stick closer to the people who do believe in you.
Yes.
And the people who know that you can do it.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely had my days where I thought, I'm in my second year of business now, but the first year is the hardest.
Yes.
And, you know, it's hard.
Yeah.
But the people around me really supported me, and that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So
that support can't be understated. You know, like if you're going to battle every day, and sometimes business, entrepreneurship, you know, even projects, even if you're just creating a charity or something, you know, sometimes it can seem like battle. Sometimes you can pick up the phone and call 30 people and just hit voicemails, or you know, like sometimes you can create something and then digitally or technology, you know, through technology, you create 5 more problems, and you're like, I don't have time for this. So to have someone to support you is so important, because if you come back from a day where you just had to deal with all the things coming at you, and the person is going, well, why weren't you back home an hour ago? You know, well, why, like, you know, why are you doing so much of this? Why, you know, and it's kind of like, well, have we talked about this? Like, these are my dreams, these are my goals, these are the rewards it's going to bring us, this is the value that it's going to add into our lives. If I'm pouring my heart and soul into my goals, into my mission, my passion, I'm going to pour my heart and soul into every area of my life, because I'm going to be beaming with life. If I dim down and turn down the light or the volume on my passions, then what do you think? Like, I'm going to be one of those people that are just, how are you? Yeah, so, I'm all right.
Yeah, same old.
Right. How's your relationship? Yeah, it's all right. And it's kind of like, do you remember when you got into that relationship? It was passionate. It was, you couldn't think properly. You couldn't function properly, you know? You were just like going wild. And I think that's the real thing. My grandfather said this to me, and he said, my grandfather's been a big mentor in my life, and he said, don't let the inner child die, Kyle. Like, don't make sure you don't let that inner child die. And he was kind of a character, like maybe a bit childish, but he was, you know, he had his business, was an architect, designed his own house, created, you know, enough resources for his family, and so he did everything right and in a mature way. But he also kept that inner child alive, you know, up until into his 90s. Even on his deathbed, a few days from passing, he was cracking jokes. And it's just like he just, I don't know anyone that was as happy as him, you know. And so I've been very lucky to be gifted that opportunity to see that in a person, and it just reminds me of how that kind of, it's so easy to just, you know, instead of going and doing workouts, sit on the couch. It's so easy to, instead of kissing your partner and talking to them, asking about their day and interacting, just go and sit on your phone. Like, so just being careful of that kind of comfort, that creature comfort suck and that pull, and make sure, I got to keep pouring into life, keep giving, keep pouring the water on the plants, you know. And that's something that, because like you can be at so many different levels, and I think if you've got goals across the board, fitness, spirituality, health, wealth, finance, you know, whatever it is, contribution, you've got those goals across the board, it's so easy to kind of have a look and go, wow, I kind of neglected that one, or I kind of swapped that one for that one, and my mind says I don't have enough time for this one anymore, so that one's kind of gone away. And that's something that I've really brought attention to. Do you have your goals and like your missions and things like that in separate categories in your life?
Yeah, so at the start of the year, I put mine in separate categories. I had relationships, health, business. It was relationships, health, business, clients. I had like clients was like a separate thing. Yeah. And then I had one more. I can't remember what it was now. I've got them all written down anyway.
Yeah.
But everything's all in detail.
Yes. Yeah. No, awesome. And what I want to ask as well is, because mindset's such an important thing for you, but I might want to kind of dive into some of the other sections of the book with questions. So diving into some of that mindset and kind of, I guess, the real resilience that is built, especially coming from one career to the other. What are some of the, I don't know, strategies, maybe like takeaways, maybe like easy implementable, like there's things I've heard of like the 5-second rule and, different sort of things. What are some of the strategies that you use to kind of help you through, I don't want to say the dark times of business, but the interesting times.
The interesting times, the challenging times,
yes.
the times of growth.
Yeah. Serious growing pains. Yeah.
The first thing was to surround myself with the right people.
Yeah.
So I know that if I surround myself with negative people or people that, say those toxic things to you, then you're going to start believing that.
Yeah.
So, surrounding myself with the right people, that was really, really important. And another thing was, I know it sounds so cliche, but believing in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, then
you got nothing. Yeah,
you're screwed.
Yeah.
So I really had to make sure that I believed in myself, and in the beginning I didn't. So I had to do a lot of work to really believe that I could do it, and also just peel away all the layers. So for example, when someone would say something like, personal training isn't sustainable, I'd be like, okay, well, to what extent is that true? And there's not a lot of things in the world that are 100% true. So people will say things, but it doesn't mean that is 100% true. And even if it's just 99% true, that 1% still gives you that reason that you should do it or you can make it happen.
Yeah.
So
you're right. It's like maybe maths is like the one thing, but like science constantly changing, evolving, just the understanding of it, education. I mean, I wish it was changing and evolving, but if you look at common schools, a lot of how for the factories is kind of like how it still is now, but
they should teach mindset in schools. That should be a topic.
Teach so much in schools. Kids out there, if you're at school, there's a lot of stuff you need to learn that you're not learning at the moment.
I know. Yeah.
There's and I mean, you look back at schools, and you look into common schools, and it was during a time where you had to have people ready to go into factories to build weapons for war. So it was like, we need you to file, single file. We need you to stand at attention. We need you to be in those rows. We need you to put your hand up when you're going to the toilet, so we know where our work has gone. So this part of the missile isn't left off, or whatever it is. So that you look at the history of it, but it's one of those things that hasn't evolved. But our world has evolved. I mean, in terms of, you could be studying something, and then by the time you get out, that distinction, that degree, that cute little piece of paper, no offense, I've got a cute piece of paper, could be worthless when you get out. So that's something that's really important in today's day. I think people are really more attuned to implementing things and going, wow, I've listened to this guy, professor, talk about finances for 2 years now, but now I realize he's only on a salary of $50,000 and he lives in this shack, and that's fine. But if I want to listen to someone that's going to help me create wealth,
you want to listen to a millionaire.
And so I think that's come about, with online and everything, and videos like that. So, but so dealing with those people that have that toxic kind of input. I mean, I thought of something, and I don't know, you can tell me if this is appropriate, but when they said, I don't know if personal training is sustainable. My rebuttal, maybe why I do get in trouble, my rebuttal would have been, I don't think your attitude is sustainable.
Exactly. And it's interesting because people love to make comments either about stuff they've never done before, so how would they know? Or they make a comment based on someone else's experience. Or maybe they did try it and they failed. So you definitely don't want to listen to those people because they failed. They're the ones you definitely don't want to pay attention to because they did it wrong.
Exactly. Or you could say like, thank you for your comment, but this is a pain and a risk I'm willing to dive into for the reward. Because that's literally what they want you to avoid risks. They care about you. Or they've got a prior pain, or they've heard Uncle Tommy tried to be a personal trainer and this tragedy happened to him. And it's like, what are you talking about here? It's got no relevance.
It's one experience or whatever. And
It's like, am I Uncle Tommy? Like, look at me as a human
Yeah.
right now. Like, you know, and I think it's a sad thing because when you get into networking and business, you actually come, and the best you get out of networking in business and relationships and sales, for like anyone, is when you come giving. You come in and you go, wow, how can I help your business go to the next level? How can I help you with the problems? What do you have, right? You know, and when you interact with people and you try and you listen and you try and see what you can help them with, your whole shit blows up. Your whole, you know, everything. People come in droves. Suddenly you're connected to all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Suddenly you have all sorts of opportunity at your fingertips
Yeah.
that you can't even keep up because you're going, how can I help you? You know, hey man, I want to go to Mars. Hey man, I want to climb, you know, I want to climb, you know, Mount, I don't know, Kilimanjaro, whatever it is. Like, I want to go. Cool. What can I do? Do you need me to hold the backpack? You know, do I need to be your Sherpa? How can I help you? And I think that's the attitude that really kind of inspires me, and that's the kind of people you want around you.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think I've seen a lot of people go to business networking events and all they want to do is just dish out their cards.
Yeah.
But if you go with it with that approach that you actually genuinely want to help other people succeed, people will buy you before they buy your product.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you help other people and you're just a good human being, people will like you, and they might not need your services, but they'll come across someone else who will. Yeah. And then they'll be like, you know what, I don't even know if Kyle's a good photographer, but he is an awesome human being.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they'll send them to you for that reason.
Exactly,
so, it goes a long way, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of just going around and, you know, dishing out your cards.
Like ninja stars. Yeah, you're right. And it really is one of those things where, I mean, I had it recently happen to me where I was just thinking, and this is what happened. I had a friend, and we were both going out. She's a copywriter, photographer, so we kind of had like similar sort of business. And we're going and giving flyers in Fremantle. Yeah. And we went into the shop, kind of had old looking shop, had like kind of old funky sort of stuff. Yeah. Not necessarily my shop of preference, but we went in there anyway, and we gave our flyers. And the lady at the counter made a comment when we went to pay, and then we left. And Cindy, shout out to Cindy, the copywriter, she said to me, oh, that was an opportunity for you to mention Derek, who's in merchant machines, like FPOS payment gateway, like all that sort of stuff, because she was having struggles with her payment gateway. And I was like, oh, and that one comment, like, you know how you'll go to a seminar, you go to a 2-day seminar, and there'll be one thing that you take away that will change your life. Like that one comment changed my thinking to like being aware of people's complaints, not as just washes away, as opportunity to help them, you know. And so that's something that's a real shift, you know. So the fact that you're running the network, you know, group must mean that you're, you know, inspired to give back, inspired to connect with people. Have you always been a big people person, of like family relationships? Like, have that always been a big part of your life?
I've liked being around people. So in my previous job, I was an air hostess. Yeah. So to be an air hostess, you've got to like people.
Yeah, you got to turn it on no matter how tired
Although
you are.
after that job, I don't like people anymore. I'm kidding.
It's one of those jobs like hospitality. Yeah.
So you've got to like people, and you know, I like being around people, and I do like working in a team. I mean, right now I work by myself, but I also like that, you know, community or team environment as well. Yeah. And that's what I like about networking, because everyone, in the beginning, no one knew each other. But now a lot of people know each other. They feel more comfortable. Everyone's helping each other. Yes. So I like seeing that. It's just like that feeling of community. Yeah. So, I love that. Yeah, 100%. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, community, and we're tackling a goal and a project together. Yeah.
And it's so nice because I'll hear of other people in the group and they'll say, oh, you know, I'm working with so-and-so on this, or, you know, I'll see them teaming up with each other, and I think that's awesome. I love that because it shows that other people are getting a benefit out of it, not just me. Yeah. So, yeah.
Air hostess, host.
Yeah. No, I like to, I guess because of my background, I like to, host people or...
Yeah. Entertain.
Yeah.
Help.
Help entertain.
Yeah. Awesome. So from entertainment, hosting, to business building, what would something like faith have in your life terms? You know, like God or wisdom or high belief. You know, does that come into your mindset? Does it come into alignment with your purpose? Or is it something that you're curious learning about?
I think that is connected to, well, for me personally, like if I have faith that something will work out, that's all connected to my mindset.
Yeah.
But I also do believe that I believe in the law of attraction.
Yeah.
I believe it's always working. So
Yes.
whenever when people say, oh, it doesn't work for me,
Yeah.
no, it's always working.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
working for you right now.
Yeah. This is why you got what you got.
So, and I believe that, cliche saying, but the grass is greener where you water it. So if you put all your energy into something, then the universe will recognize that, and it will start to give you, what you're putting out there that you want.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're like, right, I want to buy a new car.
Yes.
So I decide to, instead of just saying, oh, I'll just see how I go with saving money this year.
Yeah.
No, if you just, I'll see how it goes, it's not going to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I opened a new bank account and I was like, okay, every week I'm going to put this much money in.
Specific.
And specific. And since that's happened, you've got to take aligned action.
Yes.
And then you actually start to see stuff happening.
Yeah. In real time.
Yeah. And another thing that I've recently been working on is receiving. So, if people would say things like, oh, no, let me pay you, I'd always be like, no. Or if someone would buy me a coffee, I'd be like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. Yeah. But if you just are open to receiving and just say, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Then what do you really say no to? Yeah.
Yeah. And then the universe will recognize that you want abundance and it will give you that. So I believe in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think, I absolutely believe in that kind of stuff. I think that you can, you've got to take action, and you've got to show the universe that you mean business. That you're serious about it, because you're just like, I'll just see how I go.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if there was a heaven, you would know about it because you've been flying up in those planes so long. You would have seen it like between some clouds or something like that. But no, I appreciate that answer. I think it's so true. What you focus on grows, and I know it's a strange thing whenever I do like lots of calls or lots of outpouring. All of a sudden, I get a lot of and it's not directly, I called Sam called me back. It's like someone else from 4 weeks ago calls me, or whatever it is. I start to get, or someone that I haven't heard from in 2 years starts contacting me. It's like I'm pouring all this energy out there into the world, and then it comes back in. And it's quite interesting, So I guess for the last question I wanted to ask is another maybe a trickier question.
Okay.
But what does heart and soul mean to you?
It's so funny because I haven't put those two words together in a long time, heart and soul.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I don't even think about that. I've always been the kind of person that I will do things that make me happy, and I want to feel content, and I never want to feel, stagnant.
Yep.
So I guess, I guess doing stuff that I feel that I do with my heart and soul. And heart and soul to me would be, you give your all to it.
Yeah.
It's important to you. It lights you up. It makes you feel content.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it would mean to me.
Yeah.
But this is something I haven't thought about in a long time.
Well, that's the point of the podcast.
Get uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. Ask those tricky questions, dive a little deeper, and growth, as you said.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, where can the audience follow you? Where can they check out some more of your stuff?
So Chandee Thorburn is my name. If you search that on Google, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you'll find me.
Yep.
It's Chandee with a C. So C for Charlie, H for Hotel, A for Alpha, N for November, D for Delta, Echo, 2 E's. So it's spelled differently. Chandee Thorburn. So that's...
Where's the name from? Where's it derived from?
Chandee is a Thai name. Yeah. Because my mum is Thai.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And it's spelt that way as well. So that's where it came from.
Now I've got quite a few questions. Where in New Zealand are you from?
I'm from Auckland. Yeah. Have you been?
No, but I heard it's a windy city, right?
It can be. Wellington's Wellington's known as the windy city.
Yeah.
Auckland can be windy too, but in the same way that Perth.
Yeah.
Where I live in Perth, it's really windy. I don't know. Where do you live?
Fremantle,
You're in Freo,
So it's a gale.
Yeah, it gets windy where I live down in East Perth as well.
So do you do you find much difference between New Zealand and Australia, or Perth and Auckland?
They're very similar. Obviously, they do have their differences. I would say that I personally like the beaches better in New Zealand.
Yes.
There's awesome beaches here, but I like the New Zealand beaches more. But that's a big part of that is because it's like home for me.
Yeah.
When I lived in Dubai, I did not like the beaches there.
Really?
I thought they were not even like beaches.
Whoa,
yeah. I was a bit of like a beach snob. I was like, this is
yeah.
not a beach.
Excuse me, this is not.
Give me some waves, okay?
This is a 5 right now on a good day.
Yeah.
So how many countries have you been to?
53.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Folks,
Yeah.
how cool is that as a goal? How many countries have you been to? How many places have you visited? 53.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very, very fortunate.
That is so cool. I think I've been to 30-something.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like if I wasn't near hostess, I probably would have only been to like 5. So
yeah.
where's your favourite?
That's a really good question. I went to a place off Italy called Sardinia. The capital's called Oblia.
That's where they have like the oldest people in the world.
Yeah. And
I haven't been there, but
well, you're driving past, so it was stunning. We were in Rome. Actually, I really like Rome. Rome, we hired a tour guide who was driving us around, and he actually mentioned Sardinia because we're like, where do we go? And he's like, Amalfi Coast. He's like, no, where do you go? Where do you go? And he's like, oh, Sardinia. So I really like that place. I like Greece. I spent quite a bit of time in Ireland. I actually spent 2 years growing up in Ireland. Spent 6 months in school in France.
Whereabouts?
When I was a kid. Dublin.
Yeah.
Dublin.
Been to Dublin.
Yeah, and then the west coast of Ireland, Sligo County. There's a little town called Easkey.
Okay,
There's
awesome.
a castle and there's a surf break. So there's Easkey right, Easkey left. And so I went there. My stepfather is on the west coast of Ireland. I went surfing there.
Yeah.
So pretty wild sort of place.
Amazing.
But yeah, there's lots of really nice places. I think Rome was really interesting because I don't know why I've got a lot of affinity to medieval, not medieval, ancient Rome, ancient Greece, those sorts of times. And when you're going around there and you've got a tour guide, visually, I'm a photographer, so you just see things differently, and visually I could just kind of see back into that era of when that city was the city in the world. So
awesome.
South America's really nice too.
Yeah. Where in South America did you go?
I went to Chile, Peru. Oh, actually, Machu Picchu is one of.
I haven't been to those places. I've been to Rio.
I love Rio's really nice.
I've done Argentina, but I haven't been
Argentina.
to. Yeah. I haven't been to those places though. I'd love to go.
Peru has so much soul. It's just you can feel it in the air. It's just it's incredible. There's many places that I still want to go, but Europe's pretty amazing though. What would you say as a continent would be your favourite?
My favourite continent? Oh gosh, I love Asia. It's probably because I'm half Asian, so I feel like a little bit at home there. Yeah. But I also feel I know the Middle East is part of Asia, but the Middle East region I feel very connected to. But that's because I lived there for 8 years and I explored a lot of that. So I think because I got to see places there that people wouldn't usually visit, countries like Oman, which I'd never heard of before, and now it's one of my most favourite places.
Wow,
so
cool.
Just seeing places like that I didn't even know existed before. So I feel quite connected to the Middle East, but I think Asia is my favourite continent. But I just love everything. I love everything. I love travelling.
Do you find places change, or places that grew on you don't have the same meaning? I was born in Johannesburg. And
were you?
Yeah.
I love Joburg.
And I loved Cape Town.
I love
Cape
Town's gorgeous.
Cape Town's stunning, and if I lived in a South African city, it'd probably be Cape Town. But Joburg, there's just so much family there, and so much growing up, and so much memories. And first few years of my life, I actually grew up in a pub, my grandparents' pub.
Oh, really?
And I was literally because my mum was an international model, so she. After she gave birth to me, she actually had contracts in Europe, and then they were getting extended. So I was staying with her mother, and she was running a pub full time. So I literally grew up in this pub around other people. So, but Johannesburg, has that affinity, but it's kind of, as I've gone over the years, it's kind of waned a bit.
Yeah.
I never thought it would. Like, I had dreams, because I come back to Australia and I wouldn't feel the same vibrancy. I wouldn't feel that same African essence,
Yeah.
you know, that wildness. You know, everything was like very kind of all restricted and like legislation and rules and confinements, and it was felt very like intense. And you come through the border and you kind of get like, I don't know, it would feel you get the gloomiest person in the world looking at you, going over your, should I let you in the country, the whole thing. And then you go into Australia and they're like, the people who have like culture and sass and, you know, like comedy, and they're like smiling and laughing and energetic, and you're like, these people are alive. Like, so that was like a common trait, like when I was growing up. And so I'd always love going back to South Africa because I would feel that warmth, that connection, that aliveness, and my whole family would just like douse me in love and gifts and like all that sort of stuff. So growing up, but then as you got older, you started to see, well, geez, Johannesburg's a dangerous city, and like, you know, like family, friends who have been attacked, who like like everyone, like there's so much touch point, one degree of separation of that stuff happening. You know, my own father, like your whole family. So the memory of that starts to wane. Have you found that with any place that you've visited, or?
No, I would say everything kind of has stayed the same, but now with COVID, I don't know. I almost feel like scared to travel again, because I did so much traveling before. It was just normal. Like, I'd be like, I think I'm going to go away tomorrow. Like, it would just be so easy to travel.
See, you're smart. You got to think about it. You're like, imagine people that haven't traveled.
Yeah.
Like in this world, you're like, I knew something was coming. Yeah. 2020. I was like,
I got in there.
Yeah, there's something. I've got a feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm so lucky. But yeah, it was weird because before, obviously when I was working, I would get discounted airfares, and it was so easy. I was just so used to traveling. So if I had like 5 days off, I'd just be like, oh, I'm just going to go away for 5 days. And I'd literally like decide on the day that I'm just going to jump on a plane and go.
Wow.
I was just very like spontaneous, and I'd go everywhere.
Yeah.
But now, like, the thought of booking a flight to go on holiday in a few months' time, I'm thinking like, oh gosh, like it feels a bit scary. I don't know. I think maybe because we haven't done it in so long.
Yes.
It's weird.
So I find it really interesting. It's amazing that you were like, you had that real impulsive, action-taking side of you when you were, you know, an air hostess. And do you think that was just from the job? Like people in that role, they kind of develop those character traits?
There's honestly so many different types of people there, and you get people who are just in their comfort zone. They're not willing to do anything. They won't go out and explore on layovers. So you just get all kinds of people. So you can make what you want out of it. Yep. But in my first few years there, I was quite in my comfort zone. Like, I would never travel on my own.
Yes.
I would always just do, like, I kind of stick to other people and do what they were doing. I'd never go out on my own. Yeah. And then after about probably halfway through, then I started traveling on my own. Yeah. And the first time I traveled on my own, I just loved it. Yeah. And after that, I just became more outgoing and
confident, extroverted.
It helped my confidence a lot. And wherever I wanted to go, I would go. I'd be like, right, I'm going to go to India by myself for a week, and I would just do it. Wow. So,
that's awesome.
And so it switched. So I definitely didn't start like that. It just grew over time.
Yeah, the opportunity was sitting at your footsteps pretty much to do that.
Yeah, and I'm so glad I did that. But then I know other people who were there for 8 years, just like I was, and they would have never traveled by themselves. So they would have, like, people would say to me, I went to countries like India, Egypt, Turkey by myself.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And other people in my career would say to me, you're crazy. Yeah. So some people never get to that point. Yes. And it depends what you want out of it and what you're comfortable with. But I love adventure. Yeah. I love adventure. So I just loved like going somewhere where I didn't know anyone and being completely lost. And you know, when you travel and like shit goes wrong, it doesn't matter when you're by yourself, because you're by yourself. I'm just, I'll deal with it. Yeah. Miss a flight, who cares? I don't have to worry about putting up with anyone else, you know? So it's awesome. Yeah. I'm like, I could talk about solo travel like forever. It's awesome.
You've got to get set up a solo travel podcast.
Yes.
What to do when traveling to Turkey on your own, this is, you know,
Yeah.
there's so many tips and things that you learn along the way. But it is that, it's amazing like that you're just kind of, you're doing things that you wouldn't do at home, you know, your kind of mindset's in a different way.
Yeah.
And I think maybe part of that is the adventure's a more important thing than a little problem of, I missed a plane, I did this. It's like, hey, I'm on an adventure. Like all these little things can be tweaked and, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's what, I mean, to summarize the show, probably coming back to an adventure, you know, and bringing adventure back into your life. You know, what sort of adventure are you going on? That's the point of the podcast, guys. Decide your destiny. What destiny are you creating? What sort of adventure are you deciding to go on in your day? And also, what are you tweaking in your life so that you're on an adventure? Because you can create your own adventure. You can create your personal growth adventure. Yeah. You know, your mission, your goals, like you said, like the millionaire mindset. You know, there's so many things you can do to create your own adventure. So I think that's important. That would be my takeaway. So thank you for giving me that takeaway from this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's been awesome. Guys, make sure you check out Chandee on her platforms. As we said, we'll have it in the show notes. And as always, guys, remember, decide your destiny. Cheers.